Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Give me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. I want to follow more people that I can just talk ball with that know ball. So give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_ and DM me. I know ball. So I know you came from this video and I'll follow you back. In today's show, we're going to touch on the top 5 wings in the NBA that are expected to be traded before the trade deadline. We're going to give you some destinations for those players. Some of these guys come from an article from Bleacher Report. We're going to break it down. I'm going to give you my take and my spin on it. It's going to be a cool video. Lock us in. Hit that like button if you love the NBA. Let's start with the guy that I like to call a professional scorer. And then there's Bojan Bogdanović, the wing for the Detroit Pistons, the guy that the Pistons traded for right before the NBA season. They didn't extend his contract, which was kind of a weird development because he's a guy that should be playing on a winning team. I wouldn't necessarily call the Detroit Pistons that right now. Bogdanović is having an absolute stellar season for Detroit, averaging 21 points per game on some of the best efficiency in the National Basketball Association, shooting 48% plus from the field and a remarkable 41.7% from downtown. If you're a team that needs more scoring on the wing, a guy that can get you the bucket in the half court, that can space the floor with the catch and shoot ability that Bogdanović possesses, this is the guy you want to go after. He can get you buckets. He's definitely going to make you a better basketball team. The teams that have been linked to Bojan Bogdanović so far, and all of these make sense, and we'll tell you why. The Los Angeles Lakers, they could use a guy like Bogdanović next to LeBron James, next to Anthony Davis, to spread out the court, knock down those three-point shots. They need more shooting. That's what Bogdanović brings. The Dallas Mavericks, they also could use another scorer on this offense to try to take some of that load and pressure off of Luka Doncic. Could you imagine Bogdanović catching assists from Doncic in the half court? Say that 10 times fast. The New Orleans Pelicans could also use another shooter like Bogdanović. Same with the Suns. All these teams are going to be contending in the Western Conference. And if you add a guy like Bogdanović, that just gives you more reinforcements and another guy that can bring you a scoring punch. He can come off the bench or be a starter for you. We're going to get to 4 more players that I think could be traded and their destinations. But first, make sure you subscribe to Chat Sports for videos almost every single day on the latest NBA, NFL, college football, all things sports all the time. And we're going to be live on the channel for the NBA trade deadline. It's going to be awesome. No one's going to keep you up to date like we will. We're going to break down every move. We're going to let you know exactly what happens at the NBA trade deadline. So lock us in, hit that big red button, sub to Chat Sports. Another wing that has been mentioned in trade rumors and a guy that I think could be dealt, even though his team already traded a wing, and that is Kyle Kuzma. There are some rumors that Kuzma, when he enters NBA free agency this offseason, is not going to re-sign with the Washington Wizards, which puts Washington in a spot like maybe we should just move on from him right now, which would be tough because he's having his best season in the NBA, averaging over 22 points per game. He's been a good rebounder so far this year, 7.6 boards, and just like Bogdanović, he's a professional scorer, shooting 46% from the field, 34% from 3. He gets a lot of shots up, but he also gets a lot of buckets. This is a guy that I would love to see on a contending team and play meaningful playoff basketball. Some destinations that have been most linked to Kuzma, the New York Knicks are a team that has a plethora of first-round draft picks, 11 over the next 7 years. 8 of those are tradable. If they want to make a deal for Kuzma, they can absolutely do that. The Atlanta Hawks, they're looking for a little bit more scoring. They could use that next to DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. I think Kuzma would fit really well in that culture and just the ability to get buckets, the type of style that they play under Nate McMillan. And the Dallas Mavericks, just like before, another team that could use a wing, that could put the ball on the deck, create their own shot, take pressure off a guy like Luka Doncic. If I had to predict out of any of these 3 where he would go, I think the Mavericks are a team that makes a lot of sense for a guy like Kyle Kuzma. We have more trade targets and destinations to talk about in a second, but first, I got to give a huge shout out to our proud sponsor here on NBA Now by Chat Sports, and that is Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted better gut health and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. AG1 empowers the gut for whole body health, which is something that I need. I start the day with making one great choice, AG1, and more healthy decisions then follow. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix one small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing each morning. I also love that it costs less than $3 a day. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. The link is right here. It's also in the comments and description of today's show. I love it. You're going to love it. Get hooked up with Athletic Greens. Gary Trent is another player that has been mentioned in a lot of trade rumors as we inch closer and closer to the NBA trade deadline. The Toronto Raptors are in a weird spot. They can go left and go all in, or they can go right and try to rebuild and get some assets for this roster. Like Kuzma, Trent is going to be a free agent, and there are thoughts and people out there that think he is not coming back to Toronto. If you're looking for a guy that just absolutely gets buckets in a multitude of ways, a 3-level score, can catch and shoot, create his own shot, get to the bucket, and score from the mid-range area, that's Gary Trent. And that's why he's averaging over 18.5 points per game on 44% from the field and 36.7% from downtown on 33 minutes per game this season for the Raps. I'm a big fan of Trent, a guy that is tough. He can play a little bit of defense. He's just a hooper. The guy gets buckets. Would love to have him on any basketball team that I am a fan of. Some destinations I think that makes sense for a guy like Gary Trent. Also, Bleacher Report listed these out. The Los Angeles Lakers, they need more scoring. You need someone that on your team that can get a bucket besides LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I'm interested to see how the Rui Hachimura trade is going to affect this roster, but I think Trent is the guy that's going to make them better if they want to give up those unprotected first-round picks that they have in 2027 and 2029. The Phoenix Suns could use another scorer, especially with Devin Booker out, try to fill that void a little bit. But when Booker comes back, and if you have Trent, you're going to have two of the best scorers in the backcourt in the league. Same thing with the Mavericks. They need another scorer. Him next in Dallas next to Luka would be awesome. What about the Golden State Warriors? Right now, they're on the outside looking in the playoffs in the Western Conference, and I think they could use another scorer on this team. You might have to give up Moody or Kuminga. Sometimes it costs money to make money, and I think a guy like Gary Trent would definitely help out the Dubs out in the Western Conference. Another guy that can absolutely light it up from beyond the three-point arc. You actually look at all these guys on screen right here. They're great three-point shooters, but none of them are better than Buddy Hield, who's almost getting up 9 3-pointers a game on 42.4% from downtown. Indiana is in a weird spot, very similar to a spot like the Toronto Raptors. They got to decide what they want to do and what they want to be. One thing's for sure, Buddy Hield is a knockdown volume scorer from beyond the three-point stripe. The guy's getting up almost 9 a game on 42%, 17.5 points. He can rebound the ball well for his size. The only thing that's a downside, I think, to Buddy Hield is, which is a shocker to me, I was shocked when I figured this out, he's already 30 years old. Do you really want to give up elite draft compensation for a guy that's almost on the wrong side of 30? That's a question mark for me. I don't know if Buddy Hield can be a starter on a winning team, but I definitely think he could be a guy that can come off the bench and be that sixth man and light it up. Two teams that I think make a lot of sense for Buddy Hield are the Lakers and the Mavericks. What do both those teams need? More scoring and more shooting. How are they going to, how would Buddy Hield fit with these two teams? You got the best half-court passer of all time in LeBron James, finding Buddy Hield open in the corner. That would be beautiful. They should have traded for him 2 years ago instead of Russell Westbrook. And the same thing with the Mavs. Luka, a lot like LeBron, could create assists and scoring opportunities in the half court out of thin air. I believe Buddy Hield will be a difference maker for either of these Western Conference contenders. A different name that I think was a little bit interesting when I saw this in the article by Bleacher Report, and that is Caris LeVert, who used to be on the Nets. Now he's on the Cleveland Cavaliers, a true two-way wing in this league, and kind of do it all. A little bit low efficiency from the field this year for Caris LeVert, just 41.9%, but he comes off the bench, and I like what he brings, though. Almost 13 points per game. He can create a little bit off the dribble, 3.7 assists. He can also light it up from downtown. You don't really see 6'8 wings like Caris LeVert come on the trade block, but could they look to trade him to only get a better player back? This is what Bleacher Report had to say about what's going down in Cleveland. They said the Cleveland Cavaliers are among the few contenders in the East, but other teams don't believe they're especially hungry for a deal. Still, the Cavs could make a run at some of the previously listed wings with Caris LeVert, who makes $18.8 million, which is expiring, the most likely to go. I think LeVert is an interesting name to watch because if you're a team that feels like you're a 3-and-D wing, a guy that can get buckets and play defense for your team at that wing spot with good size, good length, good athletic ability, LeVert's a guy that I would go after. I am shocked that there are even rumors out there that Cleveland would try to move on from him. But the fact is, he's an expiring deal. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent. And with Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Mobley, Allen, all the expensive players that the Cavs are going to have coming up down the pipeline, do they want to give all that much money to a guy like LeVert? It's going to be a tough decision for them to make, but if I'm a team that feels like I'm a wing away from being a chip contender, LeVert's the guy that I would absolutely go after. We showed you 5 guys that I believe could be traded, and we showed you trade destinations for a lot of them. But I want to ask all the Chat Sports real ones out there right now, what player do you think will be moved by the trade deadline? It doesn't got to be one of the 5 guys I just listed. Maybe it's someone else. Maybe it's like Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan or Miles Turner is a name that we're hearing a lot. Maybe a guy like Malik Beasley. Maybe a guy like OG Anunoby. Name a player for me down in the comments section that you think will be moved before the NBA trade deadline. Make sure to also give me a follow over on Twitter. I want to follow all the real ones back. So give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_. The link to my Twitter is in the comments and description of today's show. Just DM me. I know ball, so I know to give you a follow back.